Astro Bot!
Astro Bot was just crowned Game of the Year by the Game Awards, proving that the awards ceremony is creatively bankrupt. Right off the bat, I want to say I'm not sorry for saying this. I know a lot of Reddit and Discord moderators are getting their sweaty little fingers ready to type a quote-unquote takedown of my opinion. I don't give a shit. I'm not wrong and I'm not sorry. Astro Bot may be a fun game, and by all accounts, it is. And if you enjoy Astro Bot, congratulations, I have nothing against you. Have fun playing Astro Bot. But as you can see from the footage playing, it is a blatant Nintendo ripoff. Is this really what we want representing the year's best game? A derivative knockoff of older titles produced by Nintendo? Look, I'm not saying that Nintendo had a game this year worthy of Game of the Year. It didn't. I thought Echoes of Wisdom, the only game Nintendo released that could have possibly been nominated, which it wasn't. In fact, no game from Nintendo was nominated. But Echoes of Wisdom, which potentially could have been nominated, was a fine 8 out of 10 experience, but it wasn't the best game of the year. So Nintendo didn't really have anything this year that was worthy of the reward. So before you say, oh, you're a Nintendo fanboy, you're biased, no, Nintendo kind of sucked this year. It had some good games this year. Mario & Luigi was great. In fact, now that I think about it, it could have been nominated. I mean, why not? But overall, Nintendo had sort of an off year before the Switch 2 release. That being said, at least Echoes of Wisdom was a new idea in the Legend of Zelda series. It did something new. I didn't really think it worked amazingly well, but at least it tried something new. Astro Bot didn't try anything new. It's literally just a ripoff of Nintendo. And yes, I can already predict your comments saying, but they thanked Nintendo. They thanked Nintendo when they won the award. That makes it all okay. How does that make it okay? And by the way, they didn't thank Nintendo.
We really put platformers and showed us innovation and quality consistently and inspired us to actually make the game that we made. So that's also, and I've managed not to mention them, have you noticed?
They alluded to thanking Nintendo, but they didn't outright say, thank you to Shigeru Miyamoto, thank you to Nintendo for making all the games that we copied. No, they didn't say that. And look, if you copied someone's paper in high school, and then you got the highest grade the school's ever seen, and then after you win an award, you say, thank you to the guy I copied, does that make it okay? Does it make it okay to copy someone and then thank them once you get rich or once you win a reward for copying them? No. I would have more respect for the Astro Bot developers if they thanked Nintendo in the credits of the game before the game was even nominated for Game of the Year. That didn't happen. So again, this Game of the Year award would be like if a high school student's paper, which was directly lifted off the internet and written by a certified genius, received an A+, and the student was rewarded and everything else. Sure, the paper might have been great, but it wasn't written by the student. Likewise, Astro Bot may be fun, but it's not original enough to be worthy of the highest honor of the year, in my opinion. I have no problem with people having fun with this game, but let's not pretend it's innovative. And shouldn't the Game of the Year at least be innovative? Sure, all games copy, but Astro Bot's whole gimmick is that it's a Nintendo game on a Sony system. Congratulations to Sony fans, you get to play a knockoff of a Nintendo game, but when Genshin Impact released for the first time, it was clearly a Breath of the Wild knockoff. Does that make Genshin Impact better than Breath of the Wild? Or does that mean Genshin Impact should win Game of the Year? No. And look, I'm not saying Genshin Impact today is still exactly like Breath of the Wild, because it's not. It's updated a lot, and I actually think Genshin Impact is pretty fun. But when it first released, everybody was saying it was a Breath of the Wild knockoff, and it kind of was.
What the fuck is this piece of shit?
And if Genshin Impact won Game of the year it released, I really don't think people would be happy with that. I mean, am I wrong? Would people be happy with that? Let me know in the comments if you would have been cool with Genshin Impact winning Game of the Year when it first released. Look, I'd be fine if Metaphor ReFantazio won Game of the Year, or even some of the other nominees. Sure, they deserved it. I'm not going to argue with you. I think they do deserve it. I don't care if Nintendo wins or not. Actually, they weren't even nominated this year. But the Game Awards were a dreadfully long slog that ultimately ended the night by rewarding a game that's not original. In a gaming world full of celebrated remakes and remasters, maybe that's not surprising. I genuinely rolled my eyes when The Last of Us Part 2 got another announcement trailer during the Game Awards. Nintendo is just as guilty as this, but look, I don't want Donkey Kong Country Returns HD to win Game of the Year next year. It doesn't deserve it, it never will deserve it, because it's just a straight up port. But this isn't about Nintendo, this is about the Game Awards awarding Astro Bot Game of the Year, which I don't think it deserves. And I will be ignoring the results that Jeff Keighley shoved in my face. To close, I just want to bring up the fact that Astro Bot not only won Game of the Year, it also won Best Game Direction, Best Action/Adventure Game, and Best Family Game, which is usually the only award Nintendo ever wins. The Best Family Game category is basically the Game Awards bone that they throw Nintendo. Like, oh hey Nintendo, you can have your kiddie games, and here's your Family Game Award every year. But no, Astro Bot stole that from Nintendo this year too. Again, I'm not going to argue with you that Nintendo deserved to win Game of the Year. They didn't, but neither did Astro Bot. Anyway, get your dislikes ready and leave your stupid little comments about how I'm not allowed to have an opinion below. Or actually, just shove it up your ass. Sorry to be so aggressive about this, but whenever I have an opinion that isn't like the mainstream, oh, everyone should just love everything, everyone should love every game, I get these neckbeards on Reddit and other places saying, oh, the author is a moron because Astro Bot's fun. Okay, so what? I didn't say Astro Bot wasn't fun. Where did I say it wasn't fun? I said it doesn't deserve Game of the Year because it's not innovative, and it isn't. That's a fact. So leave your comment saying Astro Bot's extremely innovative and is the greatest game of the year. Okay, then I don't want you to complain next year when Donkey Kong Country Returns HD wins Game of the Year. Donkey Kong Country Returns HD is more fun than Astro Bot, so by your logic, it deserves Game of the Year. Even though it's a 14, 15-year-old game, it's a port that barely has any upgrades, but yeah, it deserves Game of the Year because it's fun. That's your argument. You're saying if a game is fun, then it should win Game of the Year. Okay, that's your argument. I disagree. I think it should be better than just fun. If you're gonna parade around like Jeff Keighley and say games are art, games are so great, then why reward something that's just a knockoff of another game? Yes, everything copies, as I've already said, but this is taking things to a comical level. The only selling point of Astro Bot is that it's a Nintendo game on a Sony system, and that gimmick just doesn't fly with me. So whatever, leave your comments. I am never going to stop giving my opinion, and if all I have is a small user base that actually agrees with me, I will take that over 1 billion fucking views of complete morons that don't understand what I'm saying. To summarize, Astro Bot looks like a fun game, it's probably good, but it doesn't deserve Game of the Year because it's a ripoff. And I come from a time where ripping people off really isn't looked on fondly. Maybe in this generation of morons, that's okay. But for me, I don't think plagiarism is a great thing. And yes, that includes Nintendo. Unfortunately, Nintendo doesn't really plagiarize people that often, so I can't give you that many examples. With Sony, however, I mean, that's just the tip of the iceberg. Astro Bot, Mod Nation Racers, PlayStation All-Stars, Battle Royale. I mean, every fucking Sony game seems like a ripoff of something else. And I'm not saying they're bad, I'm not saying they're horrible games. I like some Sony games, but I'm not gonna sit here and say they're beautiful pieces of art, because they're not. And by the way, the same people praising Astro Bot are the same people that hate AI and say artificial intelligence is going to be the death of the game industry, blah, blah, blah. Well, what the fuck is Astro Bot? It seems like a ChatGPT copy of a Nintendo game. If you hate AI, you have to hate Astro Bot. I don't hate AI. I think it's cool. But a lot of you people praising Astro Bot are such hypocrites. You say, oh, AI is evil, it's so bad, but oh, Astro Bot is great, it should win Game of the Year. Sorry, but no, this is the definition of an AI game. And guess what? I think it's fun, but it's not Game of the Year.